by Bradford Morrow called the Prime Sonata. Nice segue. Yes, you know, this book was, it looks like a hefty volume, and it has, it's a lot of pages, but what I enjoyed about it was the fact that the slow burn, and I think I talked to you early on when I first started it, because it's about a music manuscript, and who owns it, and where it came from, and who wrote it. And so it's one of those like art mysteries I like, or you know, things like I can't. It's a Michael Gruber book. I'm going to say Fire and Air. And
I know exactly what you mean.
But it's about a missing Shakespeare manuscript, and how is it really Shakespeare? Is it, you know, who is the real author of this, and who truly owns it now? Because then they have to decide what to do with it. It's sort of along those lines, but it's wrapped around a young woman named Mia. And she is a damaged musician. She had she was a pianist beyond compare. She had a huge future, and she's in an accident, and her fingers will no longer do her bidding the way she wants them to. She can still play fairly well, but she can't be the artist she had hungered to be. So she ends up being bequeathed this piece of paper, which is a third of a music manuscript. And she's told by the old woman who gives it to her that this is one part of 3 pieces that my best friend gave me in Prague when the Nazis took over Prague and she was running for her life. She gave the other half to someone else. I think it was her husband who was in the underground. And then she gave it to me, and I obviously ended up in the United States because this is New York City and Queens when she meets her.
Is this modern day then?
This is modern day going back and forth through time, so it's like parallel, which always intrigues me. And Morrow does a very good job with that. I think he's able to take you to time and place and switch it up. So Mia is fascinated by this because she's become a musicologist. Part of her studying and her passion now is to figure out where things came from, or is this really truly, you know, Mozart or whatever. So she decides she needs to try to see if this woman who originally gave it, Tilly, is alive. I can't say it properly, so I'm not going to say her really true name. I don't want to butcher it. But she goes to Prague and she starts this investigation, and she meets people that help her, and she meets people that hinder her, and she struggles with a relationship. She lives back in New York. There's a lot of things going on, but it's told very well. But what really, really got me was how the historical implications of why she has to break up this manuscript and why she has it in the first place slowly unfolds like a flower. So in the beginning, I'm a little, you know, restive about it. Like, well, I want it to pick up, but it pays off by the time you hit page 100, and you're like, okay, now I get it. I know why you're going.
So you have to give it about a solid 100.
I would say give it a solid 100 pages, and then you're hooked. Beautifully done. I know more about Prague than I ever thought I wanted to know, because it's just never been on my radar. And I have to say, it sounds like it's a stunningly beautiful city with an amazing history.
Place as a character?
Place as a character, without a doubt. I would say that this book wasn't as good as, but this is a high bar, Donna Tartt's Goldfinch.
Right, yeah, that's what it was making me think of.
Because
so
of the way art plays,
them,
the importance of art in our life, whether it's music, it's art, it's literary or whatever, is such a huge part of this book, and why she's driven, but also how she feels she needs to find out if she can get these 3 pieces of the manuscript, bring it to the person who it belongs to, truly belongs to, and somehow figure out who is the true author of it. And she has an inkling from the very beginning. And they don't say it. Like, that's part of why you start to read. Well, who do you think it is? Gosh darn it, I need to know. And then you're starting to figure it out, because they're saying, well, it could be so-and-so, it could be so-and-so, it could be so-and-so. So, I mean, it was really a terrific read.
So it's got pace.
It's got pace.
Like once after that 100 pages, you get in.
So it's got place, it's got very good character development. I think that it's an intriguing theme, and it has, it's a whodunit in so many ways, because you're trying to figure out how they get back together.
Right.
Very nice ending. Sometimes these don't have them because they're a little bit more ambiguous than I like.
When you say nice, you mean happily ever after kind of nice?
Not necessarily totally happily ever after, but happier than you think it could be. And that's sort of nice. Right? Because that doesn't happen too often in these, especially when the Nazis are involved. Yeah.
How does it compare to his other book, The Foragers?
Oh, yes.
Because that was much shorter.
Yes,
that
The Foragers was probably a third of that
A third of
size.
that, yeah. I was going to say it was quite small.
I think that I loved The Foragers because he did such a great job describing how you forge a document, a literary document, how you mimic someone's writing so that you can sell it for an exorbitant amount of money without ever feeling you were getting a lesson in it.
Right.
It's beautifully written into
Well, and that's
the
what I
book,
remember
and I think that's
about
what
it.
happens with the music and that kind of
That book was
historical
beautiful.
context.
It was The Foragers was really beautifully written. I remember not loving or not feeling like the plot really came together in a kind of cohesive way.
Sometimes I think the language in the
But
Foragers
the language saved it.
saved it, exactly. And I like the character again.
And the character, yeah.
An unreliable narrator of a primary sort.
So how much of the music does she go into?
She goes into quite a bit. I mean, she explains things in a way that I certainly, not having a musical background, now you might get it because I knew you had that, but she talks about things and why she anticipated the next part of the music to be such and such, and a rondo and this and that, and she used terms that I now understand a bit more.
And so how does that compare to, say, the Mitch album and his
Magic Strings of Frankie Presto.
The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto, which is all about told from the perspective of music, actually.
That's true.
The god, as is sort of the god of music.
Absolutely true. I would say that this is done in a more subtler hand. Album tends to be very obvious and repetitive.
And manipulative.
Right, whereas he introduces these elements and weaves them into the narrative in a way where you're enjoying it, you're learning from it, but you're not feeling, what's the term? Manipulated.
Manipulated.
Yes.
Shall we say it again?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, exactly. So that's, the Prague Sonata by Bradford Morrow. And again, The Foragers is a great book too. I would go back there without a doubt and read anything by him. And it's been 3 years since he wrote that.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons I really wanted
this
this one, because I enjoyed the first one so much. I've had a lot of time lately to think about what I like to read and why. And this is a good example of the confluence of things that come together for me, which is basically character, place as a character, and pace, and writing style.
And mystery.
And
You like
mystery,
mystery.
And putting the mystery in there. like that.
Does it compare to, like, Possession? I always go back to Possession with these things.
That's a good, actually, that's a
A.S.
very good
Byatt.
analogy. Possession is a good analogy. Because that's done with diaries and letters, and it's historical, but it's also present day and the past, and you're going back and forth, and they're trying to figure out a mystery about that, the people in the present. So yes, absolutely. So you like it for that reason as well.
But Byatt is very literary. Is he that?
Yes,
kind
he's
of
quite literary.
He's
Yeah.
okay, he's that level.
I found, I didn't realize this when I read The Foragers. I probably just didn't retain the information, but he's a teacher at a major university, and this is what he teaches.
Okay.
So it was very good. But on a lighter note, I get to read the latest Ivanovich, which was
I read it too. Yes, in about 2 days.
Turbo 24.
Hardcore
24.
Hardcore 24.
Excuse me, I got my 23s mixed up, and that was fun.
They always are.
They always are fun. If you have a thing about gnomes or boa constrictors, you may want to be beware, but it was fun. She has the appropriate hair and car collisions.
Yep.
But what I wanted to mention is that there's a book called Lost Luggage, written by a Wendell, I want to say James, but I'll get it right for the credits. And it was a very close.
Really?
Very close to Ivanovich, trying very hard to be in some cases, which means she needs some polish. And it's about a travel agent who gets messed up with smuggling of animals, exotic animals, and she has a crazy dysfunctional family like Ivanovich's, Stephanie Plum, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh.
Absolutely a lot of fun. So that was a good read for me, and it was a surprise. I didn't anticipate that. So if you want something lighter, I definitely would say put that on your list of light things.
Lost
Luggage.
Huh.
Yes, Lost Luggage.
I have not seen that.
So I think we are wrapping up. So if there's anything else that you would like to say, that any other book you want to throw out there before we say?
I want to tease
goodbyes?
Standard Deviation by Catherine Heine, I believe. Just because I think it's flying under the radar and I think it merits some attention. It's very, it doesn't have a really, there's not I don't want to say there's no plot, but there's not a big plot. It's very much kind of a family story. A couple that lives in New York, and they have a son who's on the spectrum. He's got some version of autism, Asperger's, but he's quite high functioning. But it talks about how their relationship with him, how they raise him. The characters are just so funny, and I loved it from the go. From the first page, it's just so funny and so engaging, and I would love to see what she does next, because it's
kind of primarily comedy, or it's like a mixture of comedy and relationships?
There's some relationship parts of it, but it's not. It's just this sort of. It's almost like, I don't know how long it takes place over. Maybe not even 6 months of this family's life. It almost just feels like a snapshot, kind of.
Right, like you're just peeking in for a little while.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, you certainly get the sense that everything is fine. There's no big overarching conflict.
It's like a slice of life. It's
but they were
a
just
microscope on a period of time, perhaps.
Yeah, but they were just such an interest. They all had kind of interesting backstories, and the wife in particular is just a character I wouldn't even know who to compare her to, but. Yeah, I feel like it's not getting the attention it deserves, because it's really well done. I think it was her first novel.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Oh, that's good.
What's it called again?
Standard Deviation.
Standard Deviation. Okay.
I think that's an intriguing title.
Yeah.
For that alone, I might pick it up.
No, I think.
And I can't remember what it means, but there was a reasoning for it.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Well,
Sure.
it's not. I can see that from the content.
Yeah.
And quickly, I know that you finally get a chance to read the Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeywell.
I loved
which
it.
I think I mentioned in another book buzz.
You teased it, but yeah.
Never got back to it after I finished reading it.
Loved it. I know you told me at first you were not quite sure about Eleanor.
Yeah.
I loved her from page one. I thought she was
Yeah.
so funny and so interesting and so quirky, and you finally, it takes a long time to really understand where she comes from, but once you do, when she really fully comes together, she's just wonderful.
She is, and she's one of these really terrific characters that you need to learn. You have to figure out why you need to embrace her, and you will.
Yes, it's very the Rosie Project.
Yeah.
Shades of Where'd You Go, Bernadette, but not
A little bit of an Uva feel.
A little bit, Man Called
Frederick
Uva.
Blackman.
It's just about her.
She's socially so awkward that you're it's painful.
Is it Olive Kittredge like? I mean,
No,
I know it's not. I know it's not.
no.
I know Olive.
No, because she's not really negative. It's the way she's been shaped.
Right. She comes when you initially start, you think, oh God, she is terribly negative, and you're a little.
Well, she's so rigid. What is her
You're
problem?
taken aback by her behavior, and then she starts to unravel, and you get it.
See, I felt that way about Olive Kittredge. Like at first, you think, oh,
But
God,
this
she's
is
awful.
Olive Kittredge was darker.
It was
this
darker.
is this is actually quite dark. There are parts of this that are very, very,
But
very
it sounds
dark,
like it's just funny.
This is a lot lighter. This is
Yeah.
a
lot lighter,
but
generally.
also there's meaningful transitions that go through the characters. So
Right, you grow with her.
Exactly. So we're going to say our adieus because we've
It's
come to
time.
the end
It's
of our
time.
time. So that was a wonderful discussion. Thank you. So come to the Beebe Library and talk to us about books. Thanks very much.
You should definitely read Eleanor.
It sounds like it.
It's wonderful.
Totally. I might